The United States Senate has unanimously approved a bill to make lynching a federal crime in the country. 3 black senators introduced the bill in June to allow lynching to be charged as a hate crime, alongside existing crimes such as murder. For much of United States history, lynchings were rarely prosecuted at all. More than 200 anti-lynching bills have been introduced to Congress since 1918, all of which have been voted down. Lynching is murder by a mob, with no due process or rule of law. In the United States, South in the 19th and 20th centuries, thousands of African Americans were lynched by white mobs, often by hanging. In a tweet, Senator Kamala Harris, one of the bill's architects, said the vote was history. The bill was a bipartisan effort. It was first introduced earlier this year by Ms. Harris and Cory Booker, both Democrats, and by Republican Senator Tim Scott. According to the text of the bill, at least 742 people were reported lynched in the United States between 1882 and 1968. It says 99% of all perpetrators had escaped punishment and called lynching the ultimate expression of racism in the United States. Today, we have righted that wrong and taken corrective action that recognizes this stain on our country's history, Booker said in a statement. Following the vote on Wednesday, the bill needed the backing of 60 senators to pass. All 100 members voted in favor of the bill, including Bernie Sanders, the former Democrat presidential contender, and Kentucky Republican Mitch McConnell, the Senator Majority Leader. "I thought we did that many years ago," Mr. McConnell said earlier this year, in an interview with SiriusXM Radio. "If we need one at the federal level, I certainly will support it," he said. Presiding over the vote was Senator Cindy Hyde Smith, a Mississippi Republican, who stirred controversy last month after joking that she would attend a public hanging if invited by a supporter. The first anti-lynching bill was introduced to Congress 100 years ago by Republican Representative Anita Steyer of Missouri. The bill passed the House, but was opposed by Democratic senators from southern states, and failed to pass the Senate. In 2005, the Senate passed a rare resolution apologizing for the repeated failure to approve anti-lynching legislation. The bipartisan resolution was backed by 90 members of the Senate out of 100, notwithstanding the Senate's apology and the heightened awareness and education about the nation's legacy with lynching. It is wholly necessary and appropriate for the Congress to enact legislation. After 100 years of unsuccessful legislative efforts, finally to make lynching a federal hate crime, the bill says, a memorial to the victims of lynching was unveiled in the city of Montgomery, Alabama in April, the New York Times reports. A poacher has been ordered to watch the Disney film Bambi repeatedly after he was convicted of illegally killing hundreds of deer. Missouri hunter David Barry, Jr., must view the film at least once a month during his year-long sentence. He was arrested in August along with 2 family members for killing the deer, taking their heads and leaving their bodies to rot. Prosecutors said it is reportedly one of the biggest poaching cases in Missouri history. On top of the jail sentence for the illegal deer hunting, Judge Robert George ordered Barry Jr. to view the Walt Disney movie Bambi, with the first viewing being on or before December 23,
2018,
and at least one such viewing each month thereafter. During his spell in prison, the 1942 cartoon about woodland creatures shows a hunt to kill the mother of eponymous deer character Bambi. The months-long investigation spanning several states, led to the arrest of Barry Jr., his father David Barry, Sr., and his brother Kyle Barry. According to a local newspaper, the Springfield News Leader, while the total number of deer taken illegally is unknown, Lawrence County's conservation agent Tandy Barnes said it could be several hundred. Barry Jr. received a year-long sentence in Lawrence County Prison after pleading guilty to illegally taking wildlife. He has also been sentenced to a 1-to-0 day term in Barton County Prison for a firearms probation violation, and both he and his father had their hunting privileges revoked for life by the Missouri Conservation Commission. Two Scandinavian women tourists have been found dead in Morocco, with cords to their necks, the country's interior ministry said. Both bodies were found near the town of Imleo in the High Atlas mountain range, near the foot of North Africa's highest peak, Mount Tepco. The women, from Denmark and Norway respectively, have not yet been named. A police investigation has been launched into their deaths, the Interior Ministry statement said. The United States military says it has killed 62 fighters from the Islamist group Al-Shabaab in 6 airstrikes in Somalia. 4 airstrikes on Saturday killed 32 militants, and a further 2 on Sunday killed 28, it said in a statement. These were the deadliest air attacks in Somalia since November 2017, when the United States said it had killed 100 militants. Somalia has seen a sharp increase in the number of airstrikes and casualties since President Donald Trump took office in the United States in January 2017. A tally by the Bureau of Investigative Journalism reveals that at least 400 people have been killed in airstrikes since the beginning of 2017, far more than the previous 10 years combined. The latest strikes bring to at least 40 the number carried out in Somalia so far this year, compared with 35 recorded in 2017. The United States has a huge military base in neighboring Djibouti, from where it launches attacks on the militants. Mr. Trump gave the United States military greater authority in March 2017 to attack militants in Somalia. Traditionally, United States presidents have been wary of intervening in Somalia since ATN Special Forces soldiers died fighting militias in the capital Mogadishu in 1993, a battle dramatized in the film Black Hawk Down. No civilians were killed in the latest airstrikes, which were carried out in coordination with the Somali government, the United States military said. Alongside our Somali and international partners, we are committed to preventing Al-Shabaab from taking advantage of safe havens from which they can build capacity and attack the people of Somalia, the United States Africa Command said. Al-Shabaab, which is linked to Al-Qaeda, has not yet commented on the latest strikes. Somalia-based security think tank the Higher Institute said in a report published in November that Al-Shabaab had been forced to change tactics following the upsurge in airstrikes. The institute said the group was now conducting fewer mass attacks on military bases, but attacks on government offices and businesses which refused to pay its taxes had increased markedly. The United States State Department, in its most recent report on terrorism, described Somalia as a terrorist safe haven, and said Al-Shabaab remained a threat. Despite suffering setbacks, the group retained control over large parts of the country, and the ability to carry out high-profile attacks using suicide bombers, explosive devices, mortars, and small arms. The report added, a popular tourist attraction has become the latest Chinese company to show solidarity with Huawei's chief finance officer, Meng Wanzhou, who was arrested in Canada on 1 December. Shannon Mountain Scenic Park, in eastern Hainan province said it would waive the $9.65 ticket fee for anyone carrying a Huawei phone. Ms. Meng, who was given bail in Canada, faces extradition to the United States on charges of breaking Iran sanctions. Her case has upped tensions with China. Use Huawei phones. Shoot grand photos on the mountain. A notice on the Shannon Park's social media account said, "We wish friends around the world who support Huawei's success and bliss." The offer would last until 29 December. The South China Morning Post reported, but it was met with some criticism among China's social media users, who claimed it was discriminatory.